Because 35,000 people booed us.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people in this world besides George W. Bush have been booed by so many people.
That's right. 35,000 Pittsburgh fans can't be wrong.
Yeah, I think they actually were wrong.
Huh?
And some crazy universal coincidence.
You, Pittsburgh.
35,000 people were actually wrong at the same time.
Hey, hi, hello. This is Me First in the Gimme Gimmes. It was a children's book written in 1991 by Gerald G. Jampolsky. This video's not about that book. This is the other Me First in the Gimme Gimmes. They're a punk rock supergroup cover band from San Francisco, California. In 2006, 32,000 people booed them out of a stadium. This video is about them. The Ramones, No Effects, Lagwagon, No Use for a Name, Swingin' Utters, The Damned. Those are the bands that make up this Megazord supergroup called Me First in the Gimme Gimmes. They are a cover band. No, let me revise that. They are the cover band. Likes and subs, let's go. Our story is going to take us just beyond the Golden Gate in San Francisco. There is a particularly girthy gentleman who owns a record label. His name is Mike, and both he and his label are called Fat. Fat Records was the name of his company, to be exact. Within the walls of Fat Records, there was a shipping and receiving area. There are demos to get and t-shirts to send out. As legend has it, in that shipping and receiving department worked a low-level grunt named Spike. Mike was like, "Hey Spike," then Spike was like, "Yeah Mike," then Mike was like, "Take the mic from my cover band, would you Spike?" Then Spike was like, "Sure Mike." That cover band would be called Me First in the Gimme Gimmes. It was named after that book from the opening. Since Spike was now in a fat band, it was a conflict of interest for him to work as a fat grunt. He would be fired from the shipping and receiving department and promoted to singer of Me First in the Gimme Gimmes. Oh, yeah, Spike also played bass and sang backup vocals for the band Swingin' Utters. They sound like this. 1995, Me First dropped their first single called Denver with 2 John Denver songs on it, Country Roads and Leaving on a Jet Plane. At the time, they had no intention on releasing a full-length album, just singles and shows. Lots and lots of shows, in matching costumes in fact. Anything from pajamas to full-on cowboy attire. Mostly Hawaiian shirts though. They really loved Hawaiian shirts. I'd say Hawaiian shirts were their favorite, probably. 1996, they released the Billy single, 2 Billy Joel songs, Only the Good Die Young and Uptown Girls. Everything is still super casual at this point. They simply do not have to try. Do I have to remind you what their lineup was? It's unfair how stacked they are. 1997, 3 more singles with 2 songs apiece would manifest. The theme of focusing on one artist would continue with Paul, Diamond, and Barry. The songs are starting to add up though, and Fat Mike was like, we should probably slap these songs together with a few exclusives and call it a full length already. Probably. So they did just that. The Have a Ball LP would drop in July of 1997. It focused on the singer-songwriters from the late 60s to the early 80s. Very thematic. The Gimmes loved a theme. It's all downhill from here, folks. But don't worry too much. The Gimme Gimmes are still massive, with a dedicated, large, and passionate cult-like fan base to this day. In 1999, they put out 3 more 2-song singles, but deviated from the previous formula when it came time to make the LP. This time, they didn't just batch all the singles together. Cool, amazing, awesome, good job. They did a bunch of new covers, new material. Imagine that. What a concept. Well, not really new material, but you get it. New material for a cover band. Me First and the Gimme Gimmes Are a Drag would come out in May of '99. The gimmick they leaned into this time was show tunes. The Gimmes love a gimmick. 2001 is a very busy year for this sensational supergroup. 3 more 2-song singles would come out. Shannon, Stevens, and Bob, where they explored the sounds of Del Shannon, Cat Stevens, and Bob Dylan. The album they put out that year was called Blowin' in the Wind. They didn't include all the songs from that year's singles, but they did include mainly the A-sides from them. This record's motif was hits from the 60s. Take it away, boys. Although it's true that all the full lengths came out on Fat Records, one cool thing that they did with all the singles is that they released them on all their friends' labels. Epitaph, Kung Fu, Hopeless, Lookout, among others, would see a piece of the Gimme Gimmes action. The collaborative nature of the band runs deep. The band got massive, so this arrangement would end up being a nice little boon for the orbiters of the band. They would tour off that material for a year, and then in 2003, more glorious covers would emerge from Camp Gimmes. It's time for another album cycle, so you know what that means. More singles. Jackson and Stevie, Michael and Wonder, respectively. The Take a Break LP would come out in July of 2003. This time the lads are taking a stab at R&B, if Jackson and Stevie weren't clues enough for you. Whitney Houston, Lionel Richie, and Boyz II Men, eat your heart out. I never understood that expression, but it sounds like it works there, right? Comment down below if it doesn't work.
It's been 7 hours and 15 days.
Now for the year you've all been waiting for, 2006. The year they literally got booed out of a stadium by over 30,000 people. First, let's talk about that year's album cycle before we get into all the drama. This time, it's all about country and western music. Garth, Willie, Dolly, Hank, all the big ones. And yeah, of course they play Jolene. Who doesn't play Jolene? Everyone plays Jolene! They do a hell of a job of it though, and to be honest, they handle the entire genre pretty well. Even though they approach the covers in a comedic way, there always seems to be a respect and reverence present for the craft of the songwriters who wrote the tunes. This batch of songs is no exception to that. Okay, yeah, so, the drama, right? In 2006, the Pittsburgh Pirates were doing this thing where after the baseball game finished, they had like a fireworks show or something, or whatever. And for whatever reason, this year they hired a live band. And to everyone's surprise and dismay, the band that they hired was San Francisco punk rockers, Me First and the Gimme Gimmes. The dude booking the event was a big fan, but evidently he was the only one. 32,000 unimpressed Pennsylvanians rained booze down upon our costume heroes. There is this little clip. It's hard to hear the booze and it's only 14 seconds long, but the reception was bad enough that the local papers had to write all about it. Initially, the Gimme Gimmes were booked for 3 nights, but because of the vast amount of vitriol they received, the following 2 nights were canceled, fired, just like that. Pretty brutal, not gonna lie. If it were me, I'd shit myself, probably. Moving on, in 2007, they released 3 more 2-song singles, sticking to the whole country thing. 3 songs from the last record would serve as A-sides, and the band recorded 3 more songs to fill out the B-sides, this time giving shine to Dolly Parton, Johnny Cash, and Willie Nelson. Even though the band started putting out full-length records, it's nice to see that they stuck to the whole singles thing for their entire run up until this point. In 2008, even more singles would drop, centered around country stars like Jerry Reed and Kenny Rogers. Later that year, they hit us with a greatest hits comp, but who cares about greatest hits comps? Not me, I'll tell you that much for free. In 2011 though, the band had something to prove. They did 2 EPs. One is in full Japanese, called Sing in Japanese. And another is in full Australian and it's called Go Down Under. In 2014, the band would give us their final studio album where they embody the soul of the divas. On it, they pay tribute to Celine Dion, Christina Aguilera, Lady Gaga, Madonna, Barbra Streisand, among others. In 2019, Mike and other key founding members quit the band. Mike jokingly said that the band should now be referred to as Spike and the Gimme Gimmes going forward. Sometimes they actually are called that, like in their Instagram handle, but other times they're still called Me First, like on their 2024 live album, Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, Blow Madison's Quinceañera. Cover bands don't typically approach the source material in the same way that Me First and the Gimme Gimmes do. Most bands approach the tunes just like a means to an end. Like the band wants to play a wedding, so they learn some ABBA. Or they want to play a bar, so they learn some Guns N' Roses. Very transactional. For the Gimme Gimmes though, it's all about exploring a culture completely different than their own, immersing themselves directly into it. It's about how that fish out of water experience can broaden your taste. Every song they choose is a strong, time-tested banger, and their way of keeping these songs going is commendable, respectable, but most important of all, fun. They also use the songs almost like a proving ground to send a message. That message is, yeah, we're a bunch of no good punks, but we sure can learn a lot of songs, can't we? So thank you, Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, for learning all those songs, and thank you, everybody, for watching.